Welcome to You Don't Know Vietnam, the show that demystifies Vietnam for global audiences by talking to the creatives, trendsetters and business owners who are taking on the market. Vietnam isn't all rice paddies and buffaloes, you know, as you're about to find out. I'm Ian Paynton, co-founder of We Create Content Vietnam, and today, on the very first episode of our podcast, we're talking to Do Viet Anh, the CEO of Vietnamese fashion company Boo. Viet Anh's always amazed me. His attitude, creativity, vision, and openness in business is truly one of a kind. It's something that's helped him grow Boo from a small skateboarding shop to a multi-million-dollar household fashion brand in Vietnam. The company's most recent product line, Boo Lab, is one of the most successful yet. It's a pioneering and experimental streetwear brand that's helped Boo regain traction in a quickly shifting Vietnamese market. Today, he talks about his company's struggle to stay relevant to Gen Z audiences, the pressures facing young people in Vietnam, and some of the trends making the domestic fashion scene tick. Without further ado, let's get into this one. Viet Anh oi.
Oi.
Thank you very much for coming on my first episode of You Don't Know Vietnam. It's an absolute honour to have you here. We've worked together quite a lot over the years, and actually you were the first client of We Create Content, so it seemed only right for you to be the first guest on You Don't Know Vietnam, so thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, hi.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good, and I'm happy being here and to share about some of our stories. Yeah.
Thank you. You've been doing business in Vietnam with Boo for 20 years.
Yeah, that's a huge milestone for us.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You must have seen Vietnam change quite a lot over that time.
Yeah.
What is it that you're most excited about Vietnam right now in terms of your industry and where it's at, where it's going?
I think the biggest change I'm witnessing is like about the youth, the young people. They've got like much more information around. They've got access from like the globalization effect in the past like decade. So I think the youth now in Vietnam, they are very ready for the next big step in terms of like how to introduce Vietnam into the world. And I can see a lot of big talents around, which like let's say like 10, 15 years ago, we cannot see like a lot of people with such a talent and opportunity like to make bigger things. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest impression I'm witnessing now.
We were talking the other day, you know, from millennial to Gen Z, like what are the biggest differences that you see there and how's that shaped how you do business here?
Yeah. I think they dare to do things in much bigger way and more ambitious way than the generations before. Yeah, like for example us, like we started Boo like 19 years ago and with like an ambition which we didn't know where it could lead to. But I think now the youngsters they quite know exactly what they are doing and what they are heading into the future, how they do it. So yeah, and they've got more like means and resources to do it. Yeah.
In terms of Boo, you started with what, a 20 square meter plot?
Yeah, yeah.
A skateboarding shop?
Yeah.
And what is it now?
Yeah, like it's been a long journey, right? 20 years. It's like a generation already. So like we started with like just me, my brother, and a friend, Hio, which is now our arts director. So like just a group of small people, starting with like our passion. Yeah. And now like we got after COVID, we got 30 stores like across the nation, and now we've got around 250 staffs. So yeah, so that's quite a big change. Yeah.
And when you started, it was really millennials selling to millennials, right?
Mm-hmm.
how's that changed throughout the years, and how does that change your management style?
Yeah, like, like when we were like millennials serving millennials, then we were so confident. I think like Gen Z now, like the this new generation of artists or creative people and youngsters. So like we were confident and we dare to try new things, and almost everything worked. So it was like quite smooth, and then like 8-10 years ago, like the switch started to come, and then the new generation with different behavior, with different environment where they grew up. So like it was something which, to be frank, we didn't catch with with that transition in the first 5 years of like Gen Z entering our sector. So we lost a little bit of the confidence and the sense of the market and the understanding of the customers. So one day, like I think 3-4 years ago, I realized, things must change. A lot of things must change. And then I think the management style had to change also. And like, for example, we start to recruit, like Gen Z to make us more confident, to understand more like how our like new generation of customers, they think, they behave, and how they spend their leisure time, all of these things. Yeah. So I think we've been struggling in the first few years, but I think now everything is like start to clicking together. And now we are much more confident than 3 years ago, let's say. Yeah.
So I remember when you used to sell graphic tees, and they were really smart, really funny, really cool. Yeah. And then you brought Adidas Neo to Vietnam, and then you started experimenting a little bit more. And is it Boo Lab, would you say, has been the biggest change for you in the last couple of years, and that's what's helped you really reconnect with the market?
Yeah, exactly. We first started the business in 2003, right? So after 6 years of selling the things which we were importing, then in 2009, I decided, okay, let's go big. Like, let's create some like meaningful Vietnamese like brand which can represent like a Vietnamese DNA or Vietnamese like spirit to the world. So it was my kind of mission and vision in that time, back to 2009. And then we became very famous with our t-shirts, like talking t-shirts with the messages and like images like from the street life of Vietnam and youngsters. Yeah, so like we were so confident. And then 4 years ago, when we realized like, okay, things has to change, then we sit down like as a top management and we needed to do the big thing again, like in 2009. Okay, so let's start something new. Like they say, like a startup mindset, a startup spirit. Let's bring it back into Boo. Otherwise, I think we couldn't survive this like the next decade. Yeah, so that's why Boo Lab was born, and we did it quite strategically, quite in the very really right way. The whole team was Gen Z mindset, and from the designers to like fashion directors and even like content creators there. So we started with a small project. And we collaborated. I still remember our first collection. We collaborated with like a community which was like so famous in that day, like hôm nay bạn mang gì, hát nửa bờ mờ, they say so. So like we connected quickly into the community of like Gen Z and streetwear community right away from the start of Boo Lab. And I think that's how Boo Lab was born. And then we put into that project like our expertise and our like more than 10 years experience in this industry into the quality like side of the project. and we cared about every detail of the product. So I think when the product went out, it was kind of the new standard we were setting, like into the local brand scene, which was growing very fast and in early days, in like back 2 years ago, and now like Bulaf is gathering like some real recognition, and even like in terms of results, Bulaf now has the biggest share of business of Boo.
Great.
Yeah, so that's a statement.
Yeah. What sort of percentage is it?
Until now, we are not at the end of this fiscal year of Boo, but Bulaf now is around 38 to 40% of the three. We've got three direct-to-consumer brands, so Bulaf is around that.
Yeah. And what successes have you had with marketing it to the audience? I know you were talking about TikTok and live streaming and things like this, and how have you really like connected with this audience with your new products in Bulaf?
I think as I told you, like it was a switch, and millennials doing marketing to Gen Z. So that's also a challenge. It was a challenge. Like we were testing, we were trying new things. We failed a lot, I think, but we on the way we found some. Okay, this is a recipe of this small win, and then we started together, like patiently, like the small wins and small recipes we were putting together, and along the way we continue to recruit more Gen Z into the team. So like we refreshed the blood, in the organization. The results didn't come like from day to night, and it took time, and I think one of the important aspect which contributed to the success of Bulaf, that we were patient with it, and we were resilient, and we kind of we came back with that spirit, like dare to try, So in marketing, in product development, and in everything we do with Bulaf.
What sort of trends are you noticing now as we go into 2023 in the fashion industry, and perhaps any wider trends in Vietnam that you're noticing? And as a brand, do you lead that narrative, or do you respond to the market? Do you try to set the tastes and styles, or do you respond to what's happening? How does that work?
Nice question. I think the trend, like recent, and I still believe like at least next year, is like a lot of youngsters they starting to believe more in a Vietnamese brand, local brands. The products of the new generation, which I think I got to know about a few founders, they so young and they're so good. So like they are so talented. So I think that's one of the trend, like younger people start to being less foreign fancy. I don't know how to say it in English well. Kind of. And the second trend which I'm seeing like emerging, like people start to care more like about like what is behind the product, what is behind that as a story, and how they do how the process of creating a product, how much effort the brand puts there, not just in terms of story, but in terms of technical, like even like now even they care about the origin of the cotton, of the material. So I think that's good. That's good for the industry, and that's good for people who are doing it in the honest way, and in a really like quality focused way. And who wants to create a sustainable business. And the last trend, I think this is for like a little bit longer period. Is like people start to care much more about like environmental issues, like so kind of like the second hand thrift shops, trend. So I think that's good. That's good for the environment, and I think it makes the scene like more interesting. With new like mix of like old and gold and with the new and creative things. But this vintage trend, I think it's at least the future in the next next few years at least.
And when we worked together on our first project, it was called Forward Magazine.
Yeah.
And it was about forward culture, fashion and creativity, all about the young Vietnamese people pushing things forward. And I've always been really impressed with your vision for the future and for pushing things. You know, it was things like content back in the day. It was always environment. And now I see there's a focus on mental health as well, in which you're part of the conversation in. How are you part of the conversation there?
I think as our belief in business is not just about creating benefits profit, but it's also about how to contribute back to the society. So I think we've been working on environmental issues like for the past, I think, 15-16 years already. And now like when the chance came and the real people which we believe that we can trust in them, that they will do something, a new cause like in a sustainable way, then we decided, okay, let's jump into it because it's a big issue of the new generation, especially the new generation. So that's why after like 15 years of doing just environmental issues, we start firstly something like more like social oriented and like something connected directly to the human. And that's why we started the project with which is called Ngày Mai.
Which means tomorrow.
Ngày Mai.
And there was a hotline, mental health hotline, and from what I remember, there was sort of arms hugging you when you looked in the mirror in the shop, and it's sort of saying create time for yourself as well. Right?
I think we are in a very early stage of the like collaboration or like of like together spreading the message in this stage. So what we are doing is just to contribute from our small part, that we got this like offline touch points and some online touch point to our customers, to get them aware of the issue first, and to get the people know like, okay, if you are in a problem, there's someone there like ready to listen to you and ready to help. So that's why there's like kind of this hotline, like where like direct call to action like things in our campaigns, and the hacking.
I thought it was really nice. And mental health hasn't really been talked about for very long in Vietnam. From what I gather. What do you think the pressures are facing the young people today?
I think let's say like the new generation, they've got more choices, like from our millennial like guys, and when it comes like to the like more choices, then like you and the social media affects a lot of of youngsters, because they were growing like in this environment, or they grew up in this environment. So then like when people then they got too much information it's also harmful if they can if they are not how to say ready to filter the information, then I think then it comes the issues which I heard a lot about, like peer pressure, kind of this, and even in the new dynamic working environment, a lot of work stress, right, and overtime and not enough sleep. I think all of these new new social issues in the new age, it leads into more people affecting of these mental issues, and I think maybe before there were a lot of people facing this issue, but I think it wasn't talked about enough. I think that's also a problem. Same 15 years ago with environmental issues. I think now it's the same thing. That's why we see really meaningful to start when it is still not much people talking about it, and then we can help, we can give an impact.
What would you say your biggest failures or biggest challenges, your biggest failures in the past or your biggest challenges now are? With this very dynamic and changing market?
Yeah, I think I am kind of a person who doesn't tend to look back too much. I always try to think forward and really to take action to fix the problems or to get ready to the future, into the future challenges more. So then maybe if I could name one big problem, one big failure that we didn't catch well with the Gen Z transition in that transition period. So that's the only thing I think that I wish I could do it again. But otherwise I think it was such an amazing journey. When you learn and when you fail and you got your smaller and bigger wins. So I never felt regret of anything. So no, that's the failure issue. And then the challenge, I think, Boo has come to the stage after 2 COVID years, really tough. We faced the bankruptcy in some time at some time frame. So it was hard, but we survived. And I'm always confident that we are so resilient. So but now then when you survive, then now we need to reshuffle and to get ready to the next growth. Because I don't see it meaningful to keep Boo in this in the middle of the SME, a small and medium enterprise with the a big corporation which can contribute more to the map of meaningful Vietnamese brand. That was always my dream. So I think we need to grow in the next phase, in the next 5 years. We need to be a real player, not just in the fashion industry, but generally in the lifestyle which affects the young people, and and representing Vietnam in the map of the world, or at least in the region first. So that's our challenge.
Right. And what does growing look like? You mentioned other touch points perhaps for the young people. What does the near future look like for you in terms of growth and different touch points?
I think the nearest goal we are setting is to make Boo a national brand, which which maybe you are still like the biggest like a Vietnamese brand for youngsters, but we don't feel that that we are yet there as a national brand, like recognized along the nation. So that's our goal, and then like if we do well, then we really want to start making our mark in Southeast Asia, and representing Asia as a real like creative brand, which has a Vietnam DNA in it. But in terms of like commercial numbers, then I think we need to kind of like at least like triple our revenue, in the next 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. And let's say you know somebody from a business or brand that wants to come into Vietnam. What advice would you give them? They've come in fresh. What advice would you give them to do business here?
Yeah, I think if they want to do it, I think everyone wants to do it in a sustainable way. But like you have to balance it, especially in business. Like you need like short-term success to go along with like long-term plans, right? So I think the quickest way like to get to know the market is like to connect with someone who already understands the market. Like if they come here, I think they should collaborate with some of the agency like who really understand the market to help them like marketing of the new this brand and their values into the audience here, into the customers here, because it is such a changing environment. You need to get up to date, like to get updates, like I think every 6 months at least, or every few months, So I think it is good to have like some professional people who they live just to get updated. So I think that's the one recipe for like the first thing to do, and then of course like I think they need to collect the data, the behavior of customers. I think that's very important for their future moves. So I think invest also into like the digital platform or data platform along the way. I think then if they got the right strategy and the right product, then I think they will succeed in this environment.
And just finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about brand versus sales. Do young people in Vietnam value brand?
I think more and more. Of course, much more than the millennial generation before. Because millennial generation, like we came just right off of the period where like our parents were still like poor and creating some new wealth, right? So then like we wanted like okay, we wanted like these values, like short-term values, like right away. But I think now like the new generation, when they've got like almost everything there, and their parents are like in a better position than the generation before, then I think they care more about like intangible issues, values, intangible values, and even like spiritual values. So I think branding is so important for sustainable development. I think it's been like that like even like 60, 70 years ago, like when the brands they do like business, right? I think it hasn't changed. I think the branding thing is always there, and it is like the question is like how we balance like with branding and sales, and how to like put it right within the goals you want to reach. in each stage. Yeah, I think that's always about the balance. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know you're really busy. It's strategy month for next year.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you very much
Yeah.
for taking time out today.
Yeah.
And I'll look forward to having you on again.
Okay.
My challenge is to hit 100 episodes.
Wow.
So maybe I could make you the 101st episode as well, and we can catch up on progress. And
Okay.
that would be lovely.
Good luck with your next 99 sessions. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Ciao nhớ.
Bye bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to You Don't Know Vietnam. I'm Ian Paynton from We Create Content. I'd like to thank DJ Jase from the Beats Saigon for the soundtrack, and to you for making it all the way to the end.